Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levy, your co-host, Shaq. We're going to be talking UFC Vegas 17, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Geoff Neal. Shaq, it's going down this Saturday night. Tomorrow, the final event of the year. Wonderboy Thompson doing some elite gatekeeping in the welterweight division. Let's see if Geoff Neal is ready to swim with the elite of 170. Yo, you're muted, bro.
Yeah, my bad. But yeah, my boy's coming with the hot takes right off the jump, some elite gatekeeping, you know what I'm saying? I mean, sometimes people they can't handle the hot takes, but yeah, I mean, we know what they're trying to do here. Geoff Neal's the one that they tried to put in fights with Leon Edwards, and things of that nature. Apparently a lot of dudes were turning down Geoff from what I heard. I mean, I heard they were, bringing. And I know for a fact some dudes were turning them down just because, Geoff got a little disrespectful in his call-outs, like with Mike Chiesa, and all that. But, Wonderboy answered the call, hey, and we know what the type of fighter Wonderboy is. He's been, at the top of the division for, over the better part of this last decade. So, we know what he brings. His style is super hard to deal with. I mean, wins over Masvidal. I mean, he made George make silly. He's got also wins over some other really good guys. And Geoff Neal, he hasn't really, maybe fought that name value yet. But I mean, I think when we all saw him on Contender Series, man, I think we were all expecting him to get to this point. So.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, the way that Geoff Neal's been performing has definitely been admirably. He just stands out. He just seems like he can be a guy that can be a serious contender in that division. And we've seen the performances in the UFC. I mean, we can talk about all the knockouts, but what about that decision win over Bilal Muhammad? He beats the decision machine via decision. Now it's time for that step up in competition. Wonderboy is almost 38 years old. So I can't wait to find out if Geoff Neal is the guy who I think he is. So we're going to break down the whole card start to finish. But before we do that, just got to let all our listeners know that support for Half the Battle is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below the waist grooming. Looking for the ultimate stocking stuffers for this holiday season? Look no further, because our sponsors, Manscaped, have the tools to make you win this year's stocking stuffer or white elephant competition. Manscaped is the only brand dedicated to below the waist grooming and hygiene products. And great news, they just released their products across Europe, Canada, and Australia. You guys already know the deal. Just like Kevin Holland, you got to be ready for that short notice opportunity, and that's where Manscaped comes in. And a few of their products that are, prime stocking stuffers this season are the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant. The name speaks for itself. The Crop Reviver Ball Toner, a spray-on toner that will give your balls a little slice of heaven with their aloe vera and hazel extracts. You got the Crop Cleanser Body Wash, a full body wash that you can use on your hair. You got the Crop Mop Ball Wipes. You never know when opportunity strikes, so you should always be prepared. And they got a bunch of other badass items. Go to manscaped.com. And just so you know, these formulations are all vegan, cruelty-free, dye-free, sulfate-free, paraben-free, so you know that their products are legit. Get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with the code BATTLE20. Whether this is for your partner, dad, brother, friend, get them something that they'll actually use, and it's almost sure to get a laugh. So get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with the code BATTLE20. That's all caps, BATTLE20 at manscaped.com for free shipping and 20% off. Be the ballsiest gift giver this year with Manscaped, Shaq.
Yeah, and I mean, and as you can see, Manscaped sponsors Kevin Holland, who, happened to be ready for a short notice opportunity. So I'm glad I said that last week, because his short notice opportunity, he passed with flying colors. So shout out to Kevin Holland and Manscaped, keeping those balls clean.
Gotta always stay ready no matter what the occasion. And I mean, we've seen Kevin Holland on the mat have problems. He goes in there with a jiu-jitsu legend in Jacare and smashes him. Not on the feet, Shaq. Smashes him on the mat. Did Manscaped have anything to do with that? Coincidence? I think not, man. I mean, he's got sponsored by Manscaped. Now he's smashing Jacare on the mat. So make sure y'all go to manscaped.com and use that code BATTLE20 for 20% off and free shipping.
Hey, you feel good. Balls feel good. You fight good.
Feel good, perform good in all areas of life. Now, Shaq, let's get right down to business, because first up, now, according to Tapology, it says 155 pounds, but I think it's actually at a catch weight. We got Carlton minus, who's 10-2. He's taking on Christos Giagos, who's 17-8. Currently, they got Christos Giagos minus 325. The comeback on Carlton minus is plus 250. let me just take this one first, man. Okay, so I understand why, Giagos is favored. He's got more UFC experience, and he can mix in some takedowns, which have historically given Carlton minus problems in the past. My issue with this here is that Giagos historically slows down in fights when he has full camps. His gas tank ain't the best, and he's taking this on 3-day notice. He's the one that asked for the catch weight. If Carlton minus can just survive this first round, I think he can take over the second and third. He's the guy with the full camp here, and I'm never laying -3-0 on Christos Giagos in any fight. So I'll reluctantly go with Carlton minus to edge out a decision here, Shaq.
Yeah, man. This, I got Giagos. I mean, the short notice is definitely worrisome. I mean, definitely wouldn't bet him just because, like you said, he does gas out, big muscular guy that swings heavy, wrestles heavy. I mean, he uses a lot of energy, his style. So, yeah, 100%. It did seem like he was kind of, what was his last fight, Hatsevich, or did he have one after that?
Yeah, Drakkar.
Drakkar, it was like a close decision, like ish.
Drakkar beat him, but yeah. I mean, it was a decision.
Did he win a round?
Not in my eyes, but some of his fans might think so.
I mean, what were the cards?
Let's see. That's a good question. So, according to MMA decisions, the cards for that fight were he won the first round on all three cards.
Yeah. So it's typical Christos, heavy early and then he fades late. Yeah, minus, man. I wasn't impressed at all, man. I mean, he's got a good jab. Like maybe that he's dropping 15 pounds. Maybe he, this is what he needs. But that fight against Simmelsberger, he kind of just shied away from a lot of the exchanges. But that dude, Simmelsberger hits hard, a football player. So I definitely think the Rick Glenn fight and this one is definitely a lot more doable for him. But those dudes from Alaska don't have the best history, Daniel. So I'm gonna go with Christos Giagos.
Now, next up in the flyweight division, we got a matchup between Jimmy Flick, he's 15-5, and Cody Durden is 11-2-1. Currently, they got Jimmy Flick -150. The comeback on Cody Durden is +130. So we broke this fight down before, Shaq. It's time to break it down again. Just a little inside info. I heard this weight cut's actually going easier for Cody Durden than the first one. So they're about to weigh in here shortly. Who you got?
Well, I am biased, so I am picking Durden, but hey, look, Jimmy's quite the transitioner on that mat. He's got an arsenal of subs, the Von Flick, the Flickatine, the whatever thing, all his little subs. I mean, I'm cool with Jimmy too. So, definitely fans of both guys, but man, I feel like Durden's been leveling up, man. I mean, just to see where he's come from, since that little Scoggins fight. I forget his first name, but baby Jared. Scoggins, Jared Scoggins. Just the improvement I've seen in him since, man. It's been, the Gutierrez fight, man. I was impressed, man. I mean, Gutierrez, I consider him like a top 30, 35 guy at bantamweight for, somewhere in that range. And I mean, he held his own on a week short notice. I mean, Gutierrez was wiping dudes out previously before that, breaking calves and legs. So, I feel like Durden, if he keeps improving, now that we got that, minor hiccup past us and, we can come into this fight, a little bit more, healthier, I'm definitely going to pick him for the win. But I am biased, man. But I got respect for Flick, man. He's paid his dues on the local scene, tapped out dudes we know like CJ and, but, all his losses are by knockout. He is chinny. He has been stopped before. A lot of those are at 135. Gutierrez also, you dropped him and submitted him. So, yeah, we know he's had the issues with the chin. And Cody can't get underneath this guy early because while this guy's fresh, I mean, we know he's going to run us through the series. So, we gotta be careful. But I feel like if he avoids that and makes Flick fight a stand-up boxing, athletic type of fight, I feel like Flick's, like flat-footed a little bit, kind of, chinny like I was saying. But, it's going to be a good fight.
Well, Flick and Durden already weighed in, and they both made weight as expected, two true professionals. So, look, obviously we're biased. We sponsor Durden. He's from here. We're friends with the guy. Love the guy. But listen, Jimmy Flick's got my respect, and he's had my respect for years. I mean, I had him on Half the Battle like 3 years ago when he upset Johnny Bedford on the regional scene. So I've always had my eye.
He sent Johnny Bedford a bare knuckle.
Listen, I've always had my eye on Jimmy Flick, man. The guy is extremely exciting. And you put in a guy in there with him that's not quite ready for Jimmy Flick. And not only will he run him through the series, but he'll submit that guy in the first round and he'll absolutely clown you. The thing here with Durden, though, is that Durden's a state champion wrestler. He trains jiu-jitsu under Khaos. He did this camp at ATT with, Pantoja, Kyoji Horiguchi, and all these guys. And Flick's been knocked out 4 times. And I had to go back and rewatch some of those KOs, and some of them were uncomfortable, bro. Like, did you see that Ray Rodriguez fight, like where Jimmy started trying to do a thumbs up while he was unconscious? Like, bro, that was scary to watch, man.
And you seen the Gutierrez fight?
I have. So I just think if Cody can just keep this upright early, start chopping him down with calf kicks, eventually go upstairs to the chin, I think he can add another knockout loss to his record. So I'm gonna go with Cody Durden here for the upset. Now, next up in the middleweight division, we got the middleweight and UFC debut of Tafon and Nchukwi. He's 4-0, and Jamie Pickett also making his UFC debut is 11-4. Currently, they got Tafon Nchukwi minus 350. The comeback on Jamie Pickett is plus 290. So, I mean, we talk about a lot of continents and a lot of countries like producing good talent, and usually we talk about, Russia, Brazil, the United States. You got to add the continent of Africa to that list, my man. I mean, Africa has been producing some serious talent. And the fact that this guy, Tafon, is making his UFC debut at only 4-0 speaks volumes to how high, the matchmakers are on a guy like this, because they could have easily told him after Contender Series, go back to the regional scene, get more experience. But they think he's got the goods right now to compete in the big show. And not only that, Shaq, he's dropping 20 pounds to 185 pounds. I mean, this is a guy who trains with Sodiq Yusuff. I think he's got the right people around him. And with Jamie Pickett, it's one of these things where he's a really good athlete. He's explosive. He hits hard. And if he can be the bully, if he can be the aggressor, he can definitely win for sure. I mean, we saw what he did to, ATL's own Doug Usher, who we were talking about Doug Usher when we were talking about that OSP fight. That was OSP's training partner for the Jamal fight and the McCall fight. So, I mean, listen, Jamie's got some power. It's just, I don't think Tafon's going to just, fall over and let Jamie do his thing, man. I think Tafon's going to walk him down, mix in the calf kick, go upstairs, whatever it takes. And I think he's going to put Pickett away. In that Soriano fight, Puna Haley Soriano versus Jamie Pickett, Pickett didn't win. Soriano didn't win because he was the better guy. He won because he was the tougher guy. And I think that Tafon is not only the better guy, but he's the tougher guy too. So I'm going to go with Tafon Nchukwi to get this done.
Yeah, man, it's funny because I actually seen Pickett, man, fight like a long time ago in Wild Bills, man.
Oh, yeah?
I forget. Yeah, I think he's from North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, or somewhere.
North Carolina.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, look, he's come a long way. I'm not gonna lie. His last fight, he looked good. Definitely a good athlete, long arms. I mean, he's definitely gotten better, I'd say, around the last year because he lost to Charles Bird and he lost to Puna. Yeah. So Tafon, man, he's a little interesting to me. Well, he's gonna be my pick to win the fight. I think he has the higher ceiling, obviously, undefeated. From a betting perspective, I just think it's a little wide, man. I think, the dude he last fought was a complete can. He's only got 4 fights. He did knock out William Knight, which is very impressive. But then when I watched the fight, and I hate to discredit wins. I mean, don't get me wrong. Tafon knocked him the fuck out. But, William Knight, he's a little short. And, that's why they sent William Knight back on to the local scene because, he had these big technical issues like in his Contender Series fight where he would turn his neck and just do things that he shouldn't do. And now he's progressively, cleaned a little bit of it up. And now he's fighting Alonzo Minifield. So, I do want to give him some credit. He definitely knocked him out, but I still think Tafon's green. And I see signs that he could get stunned early, man. He got stunned early by that last guy who completely sucks. And, Pickett, I definitely think Tafon can win the long-term battle. It seems like he's got more of a methodical, more volume style. But I think in the early portions of this fight, it's going to be very, very scary. This kid's dropping 20 pounds for the very first time. He's only 4-0. I've seen it numerous amount of times where there's so much stock put in these kids with 4 fights, 4 or 5 fights. For example, Stipe's teammate or
yeah, but hold on. But Stipe's teammate ain't from Cameroon.
Yeah, but he had a spectacular flying knee
And he lost
knockout
to
and all this
William Knight.
shit. Like, fucking, yeah, but but that's what I'm saying. Like William Knight was a dude that paid his dues, had losses. You know what I'm saying? Like it all comes full circle eventually. Like everyone's got to get their due. And MMA math don't really mean shit. But I wouldn't be shocked if Pickett caught this kid early. Is what I'm saying. But I'm a pick Tafon. I think he's higher ceiling, long-term battle. But Pickett is getting better.
Now, next up, we got an 195-pound catchweight between Deron Winn, who's 6-2, and Antonio Arroyo is 9-3. Currently, they got Antonio Arroyo -160. The comeback on Deron Winn is +140. So the 5'4" middleweight is back, but this time at an 195-pound catchweight. Can we trust Arroyo to kick his head off and not do anything stupid here?
Man, so this is another one, man. So I was coming into this thinking, yeah, Arroyo is gonna. I mean, look, he might. But the thing I don't like about Arroyo is that Muniz fight, and I know I'm high on Muniz. Muniz is a beast, 100%. But what I can't wrap my head around is how do you stand on top of a man and not try anything, not pass his guard? He literally stood there for I'm talking minutes at a time, Daniel. Like it wasn't like like he tried to punch his gut, kick his legs, pass his guard. But he just literally stood there, and he's got all these physical attributes. The Regman fight on Contender Series, he definitely did his thing, but I feel like there was more to be, desired a little bit. I feel like Arroyo's a little bit of an underperformer, man. I feel like or like we say about Lyman Good, he's not as scary as he looks. You know what I'm saying? He looks like a fucking tank, but I don't think he has that meanness in him, man. But Deron Winn, look, let me tell you about Deron Winn. So initially when he was coming to the UFC, I thought it was a complete joke. He got matched up with this dude, Bruno Blundell, who knocked out Shlemenko in Russia, this Brazilian. He's actually on USADA suspension. He'll make his debut here shortly, but he was matched up with this dude, and I was like, you mean to tell me this 5'5" guy's about to fight Bruno Blundell Silva? Oh my god, like this dude's in trouble. But then Bruno pops and they bring in Eric Spicely. Eric Spicely, one of the bigger cans to hit the UFC over the last few years. And I'm sitting there live, and Daniel's my witness right next to me, and I'm having a damn near heart attack over an Eric Spicely fight, Dan. I mean, it was fight of the night, for Christ's sake. Eric Spicely, I was sitting there like, Deron, wait, relax, chill, and obviously he did his thing. Eric Spicely ain't the toughest guy in the world, but I could see it from then that this height thing was going to be a big problem because his head's in the way of these knees. I mean, it's just his head's so there, it's not even funny. Like even slow ass Gerald was out here landing knees up the middle and touching this dude and rocking him, and then he ended up quitting. I feel like Deron Winn is a little bit of a front runner, man. I mean, I feel like I think he came into the sport truly believing that he was going to be the next DC, and when that didn't work out, before his last fight, he was like, you only have one loss by split decision, but to Darren Stewart, who's a good fighter, and then that trickles into you saying, oh, if I can't beat Gerald Meerschaert, then maybe this ain't it for me. Like, bro, you already see where the kid's head's at. Now he's taking catchweight fights at 195 pounds. Like, I wanted Deron to come in and improve that, he can make 185, or at least I thought this kid was supposed to, go on a break and change his life and try to make 170. But as we can see, that ain't happening, So, man, Arroyo, I gotta pick him just due to the physical advantages and the fact that the plum is going to be wide open here, to grab Deron's head and knee his body, and he doesn't like the body shots. I mean, you saw that his last fight against Gerald. He was looking like his big bro DC in that Stipe fight. You know what I'm saying? When Stipe started hitting DC's body and all that Popeye started coming back up, he was like, oh man, this ain't going good. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Arroyo, man. But to be honest, it could be a trap. I don't want to say a trap because Deron Winn, probably this 5'5" guy probably ain't gonna win. But I just don't like some things about Arroyo, man. Like, I want to see more a sense of urgency. I feel like he leaves a lot of things to be desired in that cage. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely hope Arroyo has a better performance here than he did against Muniz. I think the issue with the Muniz fight was him and Muniz gassed after like the first grappling exchange. It's going to be a little bit different here because he's not fighting, a 6'3" black belt. He's fighting a 5'4" guy, and it's like, yeah, I can root for like a shorter guy or whatever, but like, dude, there's weight classes for a reason, and it's not. He can't even make 170, Shaq, so he has to fight at 185. This is a 195-pound catch weight. He's just too small for this weight class, man. And I think that these kicks are going to be very impactful to the body, to the head, to the legs. It's just don't get laid on. But like, even if he does get taken down in that first round, I feel like Deron Winn's going to expend a lot of energy and gas himself out. And then if Arroyo has anything left, then he can kick his head off. So I got to go with Arroyo here to get this one done. For the same reasons a lot of other people are picking him. I'd like to be contrarian, but not in this spot, man. There's weight classes for a reason.
After this fight, we'd love to have Deron win in the NFC. We can, we can fight some of these guys.
Yeah, the thing is, you'd have to go like fight Bolo at 205 or heavyweight. You know what I mean?
Hey, we'll get it done.
You know who I got in that one, but yeah, I got to go with Antonio Arroyo here to get it done. Let's see what happens. Now, next up in the bantamweight division, we got a matchup between Pannie Kianzad. She's 13-5, and Sajara Eubanks is 6-5. Currently, they got Sajara Eubanks -160. The comeback on Pannie Kianzad is +140. So I feel like Sajara's, a pretty good litmus test if you're, to see if you're ready for the top 10 of that division or not. Pannie did look kind of impressive her last fight. You think she's ready to get this upset, or you got to go with Sarge?
Are you saying Sajara Eubanks is a gatekeeper?
I mean, she definitely ain't a contender. I'll tell you that right now.
Nah, but yeah, man, this is a good fight because I actually think both girls are better than their records. Say so. Sajara, I give her credit, man, because she'll fight anybody, man. She's very active. I mean, she takes a lot of fights. She's very tough. The thing with Sarge, man, what I haven't liked is, obviously has been the cardio in the past. But hey, she has won the third round and both her last two fights. So maybe she's getting better at that a bit. But we can't forget about that Betch Kohea stun. And this matchup's interesting because Sajara beat Julia, who beat Kianzad, and Kianzad beat Betch, who beat Sajara. So I want to solve this equation, man. But man, Sajara's tough, man. Do I think she's that good? No, but I think she's tough. I think, if somebody can't grapple like Julia Avila turned out, I feel like, honestly, Julia Avila thought she was fighting Gina Mazzani when she fought Sajara Eubanks. She had that little 20-second knockout or whatever it was, and she literally thought she could do the same thing to Eubanks, and then when she got taken down, I mean, the fight was pretty much damn near over. So I feel like Julia Avila, the line was super wide in that spot. Kianzad took her fight with Avila on super short notice, and I actually bet on Avila in that fight. But man, Kianzad's actually impressed me, man, her last two fights. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I can't necessarily say what it is, but I just feel like she's an underrated boxer. All the other parts in her game seem to be, about decent takedown defense, decent jiu-jitsu, nothing special. But the hands, I think she's got really good hands, man. I mean, Rose Clark, yeah, she's not that good, but I mean, she fucked her up. And Betch Kohea, same thing as well. I mean, there was no question who won those fights. I mean, Betch Kohea got touched up a lot, man. So I think it's a 50-50 fight. Sajara, edge in the grappling, slight edge in the clinch. But I feel like Kianzad has faster hands, better hands. And I feel like if she can keep distance, she can win this fight. And I feel like it's just a 50-50 fight. So I'm going to go with the dog. I've just been more impressed with Kianzad as of late. But I wouldn't be shocked if Sajara won. I mean, she's been in here fighting in the trenches with Aspen Ladd and Ketlin and all these other girls. But even in her wins, man, I feel like she, Julia Avila one was a step in the right direction, but that Sarah Moraes one, it wasn't by a wide enough margin for my liking. But but we'll see. But I'll go with Kianzad.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on the opposite way here, man. I feel like if Sajara just can keep that cardio together, don't gas after the first round, she's gonna be able to mix in takedowns and get this to the mat, show off that black belt that she's got. You know, she got it from a legit professor in jiu-jitsu. So I think that she does have a legit black belt. And it's just all about the stylistic matchup with a girl like Sajara Eubanks. You know, she's not going to beat these top 10 girls, but I think she can beat people outside the top 10. Pannie Kianzad's outside the top 10. But I agree with you. Pannie has low-key been showing off that boxing these last few fights. So if Sarge starts to slow down, Pannie definitely has a path to victory. But I'll go with Sarge to, mix in takedowns and kind of grind this one out. Now, next up in the welterweight division, we got a matchup between Anthony Showtime Pettis, he's 23-10, and Alex Morono is 18-6. Currently, they got Anthony Pettis minus 230. The comeback on Alex Morono is plus 190. So I know the path to victory here for Morono. You know, if Pettis starts to slow down, then Morono might be able to do the Morono blitz, kind of back him up and start to tee off on him in the second and third round. But I just feel like you got to be on a certain level to beat a guy like Anthony Pettis. Like, despite Anthony Pettis being very inconsistent, one thing he's consistent about is the level of competition he's been fighting, man. Like in all 19 of his UFC fights, they've either been against top 10 guys or against legends. And this is the first non-top 15, non-legend guy he fights. I kind of think this is a step down. I mean, we're talking about a guy in Pettis that submitted Du Bronx, knocked out Wonder Boy, and this is all after he, touched gold and defended it and all that stuff. I like Morono, comes out of a good gym. They've beaten Pettis before with Carlos Diego, but I do not view this as Carlos Diego. I got to go with Pettis here. Even if Morono lands more volume, I still think Pettis can have the bigger moments and land the harder shots. So if it goes to decision, I still see Pettis winning, but I think he can get a finish too. So this is a fight Pettis can win. And I actually like the stuff I've been hearing from him, that, he finally bit the bullet. He's been seeing a sports psychologist. He's sober. He moved to Vegas. Sounds like he's in the right place. Everything's positive coming out of, the words he's been speaking are all positive. I like to hear that stuff. I'm going to go with Pettis here.
Yeah, man, it's funny you bring up the shrink thing because I forgot to mention that about Kianzad. She said she got the mental coach as well. Some people think it's soft, but turns out it works a lot for these guys, man. So maybe they should go see those shrinks more often, man. But I think my bad. One sec. What fight were we talking about again? Oh, Pettis and Morono. Yeah. So this fight kind of took me by surprise. I was like, damn, really? Fucking. But then I see why, because I heard he had the option to fight Michel or Morono, and I was like, man, hey, if I have the choice to pick between Michel and Morono, I'd probably take Morono too. Shit, if it's for the same money, hell yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? And this is the last fight on this contract. And I'm gonna go ahead and say unofficially, man, I think this is the last time we see my boy Showtime in that UFC cage. I just think Bellator makes too much sense for him, man. Like, his brother's over there, easier competition, probably more money. Like, why would he want to? He done. I looked at his record, bro. Pettis, God, bro, they don't give this fucking kid a break, bro. Like, it's like fucking top guy after top guy after top guy. Like, fucking. Morono's the easiest fight Pettis has, matchup wise, has had in like fucking
ever
since like, man,
since WEC.
Like, in terms of, like this is like, I think what they did here, Showtime knew this was his last fight in the UFC. He wants this last one to be one of these spectacular, finishes of his, whether it be a triangle armbar, him jumping off the cage and doing something. And, I don't think he's going to get that done against Michel Pereira, but, against Alex Morono. And I fuck with my boy, the Great Wyatt. I love Alex. Alex comes to swing. That's why he got this fight. Alex comes to swing, he comes to bang. Alex ain't coming to lay on people, so they needed a willing dance partner, and I feel like this is going to be that springboard for Pettis, into free agency to get that, money that he wants, get that big deal. So I feel like that's what this is, and I don't see him losing to Morono. Like, I got respect for Morono, but I just don't think he's good enough, man. I mean, his fight with Reese McKee is a big kid, but I mean, he did get hurt to the body. He got wobbled in that fight too. He gets wobbled in a lot of his fights. Pettis sometimes doesn't, have the heart sometimes, and yeah, sometimes he does wilt. But I mean, just look at who that's against. Diaz, Poirier, Ferguson. His last fight, man, I actually thought he looked really good, man. Like live, I was like, man, Pettis looks sharp tonight. You know what I'm saying? Like he, if he has a slight step down in competition, I feel like he can definitely have some success. I didn't expect him to beat Carlos Diego. I was on Carlos in that fight, so if people are considering, if that was his step down in competition. But yeah, man, I feel Pettis can style on Morono, whether it goes to the distance. But Morono's gonna fight hard. This is the chance he's been waiting for. I'm sure nobody knows who Alex is. A lot of people, and this is his opportunity to get his name out there, man. So, but yeah, man, I feel like Pettis is just a better fighter. So.
Now, next up in the heavyweight division, we got a matchup between Marcin Tybura, he's 20-6, and Greg Hardy is 7-2. But between you and me, he's 8-1 because he knocked out Alan Crowder. Currently, they got Greg Hardy -125. The comeback on Marcin Tybura is +105. So I got to give Marcin Tybura a lot of credit. He's on a 3-fight win streak, and we were thinking that he might be done around that Sakai fight, but he slimmed down a little bit. But I do have to say, man, these last 3 fights he's had have been kind of favorable matchups, and no disrespect, Sergey Spivak, young guy, but I kind of feel like Hardy's a better prospect than that. Maxim Grishin fights at 205, and then Ben Rothwell. So let's talk about that Ben Rothwell fight. So how they call Stipe the baddest man on the planet? They call Jorge the baddest motherfucker on the planet. They call DC the daddest man on the planet. You know what they call Ben Rothwell? They call him the slowest man on the planet. So just because Tybura went in there against the slowest man on the planet and won, to me, doesn't mean that he's back. I got to go with my favorite American heavyweight prospect. My favorite UK heavyweight prospect is Tom Aspinall. My favorite Moldovan is Romanov. But my favorite heavyweight American is Greg Hardy. And I think he's been making improvements every fight. He still had less than 10 pro fights, Shaq. The guy's a freak athlete. We're going to be seeing these improvements. If he can avoid getting grinded out here, I think he can land the harder shots. I think he can put away Tybura. So I'm going to go with Greg Hardy to get the biggest win of his career.
Yeah, man, Tybura definitely thought he was done after the Sakai fight. Then he dropped about 10, 11 pounds, definitely, got his diet in order. And yeah, I feel like the win streak is Daniel, does Ben Rothwell have his steroids anymore?
Speaking of steroids, Marcin's been seeing that Polish doctor, right?
Oh, hold on, I'm going to get to Marcin here in a little bit because I'm going to tell you what's been going on with Marcin. But does Ben Rothwell have his steroids anymore? How many times did Ben Rothwell test positive, Daniel, for the same thing?
More than once.
That's just the facts. Ben Rothwell cannot fight without his steroids. And I feel like he needs to hit up Bellator too, get back, go to ONE FC, get on your him, JDS, all them dudes, man. They need to get back on their stuff, man. But I feel like, Greg Hardy, he's up there in that American prospect, up there with Dawkins and, some other guys that are doing their thing right now. And yeah, man, I feel like Tybura, what it is, man, he saw, he's from Poland. He saw what, the champ Jan Blachowicz, how his career has been changing, and he switched gyms. He switched to Blachowicz's gym. I forget what it's called, Ankos or some shit. But yeah, he's with Blachowicz. He's been with Blachowicz's people for these last 3 fights. And he thinks because he said he's known Blachowicz for such a long time, and he's probably seen some of the stunts Blachowicz has pulled firsthand. You know what I'm saying? And he became champion, so he wants to. He's trying to do that himself, but I don't think it's gonna happen, man. I feel like Greg Hardy doesn't get enough credit. Greg Hardy, honestly, when you think about it, should be undefeated if this kid, just didn't do a couple of big no-nos, with the Alan Crowder fight and the inhaler gate. But
well, he would have lost to Volkov anyways. But yeah.
Oh yeah, shit, my bad. I forgot about that one. But yeah, no one really expected him to win that one, right? That was short notice. I don't want to say it doesn't count, but
you went the distance for the top 10
guy. Wald Harris and Verdun couldn't fucking go the distance, so that's just facts. But yeah, man, Greg showed his toughness in that fight, and there's different versions of Greg. There's Greg that can be a bully and come forward and really maul dudes, like how you saw his last fight and against, Juan Adams. And I know Juan Adams and Maurice Green are bums, and Yorgandi Castro's a bum too. And I understand, but he's out here. He can point too, man. He's got the talent, man. All the talent, physical speed, power attributes are there 100%. All it comes down to with Greg is himself, man. As long as Greg doesn't do anything stupid, you know what I'm saying? He should, and I feel like his grappling's underrated too. At least since the Allen Crowder fight, like dudes have tried to get in on singles on him, and I mean he's shucking them off easily. So I feel like Greg Hardy after this fight, now he's really gonna have to be respected, because I mean Marcin Tybura, I mean he's a good fighter. He's what, like, is he ranked or at least like 15? Somewhere in there. 15. Yeah, like he's got to be, right. So yeah, man, I feel like this is gonna be the win that really stamps Greg Hardy's name in this heavyweight division. Maybe gets him that fight with, Arlovsky, or if they want to give him JDS, I don't know, something like that. But yeah, man, I got Greg Hardy, man. I just think he's got too much talent. And we had Tybura's ground game is definitely the best he ever has. But you gotta understand, Spivak only had 2 fights in the UFC. And man, this kid Spivak, man, I feel like he's got a bright future ahead of him, because he got fed to the wolves like Harris, fucking Tuivasa in Australia, fucking Tybura, like all these dudes right off the bat at like 24 years old. But he was a kid, man, when he fought Tybura. He's not mature enough to fight Tybura yet. Like you said, Maxine Grisham's a 205er, and Ben Rothwell, doesn't have that those fertility drugs anymore. So yeah.
Next up in the flyweight division, we got a matchup between Gillian Robertson, she's 9-4, and Taila Santos is 16-1. Currently, they got Gillian -115 and Taila's -105. This is a tough fight to call, because it's like Taila Santos. Firstly, she's got an extremely padded record. I mean, when you look at that record, like most of the girls,
don't disrespect my girl like that.
I mean, most of the girls she beat on that record are like 0-1, dude. Like it's one of them.
No, bro. It's that Brazilian MMA girl scene, man.
Or it's like a Thomas Almeida record too.
Yeah.
But listen, so from the fights we've seen, one thing I want to say, to give her credit, she did beat Marina Rodriguez in a pure Muay Thai fight back in the day in Brazil. So that's pretty cool. But anyways,
bro, that Muay Thai scene was crazy. It was like Marina, Taila, Jennifer Maya, fucking what's Anraj's teammate again? Fucking
yeah, I know who you're talking about. The girl that knocked out Thompson. Cachoeira.
No, not her. She's fighting Nico. Carol Rosa.
Oh, Hosa. Yeah.
All these chicks were like in these Muay Thai scenes, bro. I mean, like duking it out on YouTube, bro. It's like fucking.
Yeah, they went after it, man. But so with Taila, she did good on her Contender Series fight, and then completely lays an egg against a softball and Barella. Like, you're supposed to go out there against Barella. I don't care if it's your UFC debut. I don't care if the weight of the world's on your shoulders. You're supposed to run through Barella. And that fight wasn't even about what Barella did right. That fight was about what Taila Santos did wrong. And then her very next fight, she actually shows up and she dominates Molly McCann. But to me, stuffing takedowns against a blue belt from England is not the same as stuffing, takedowns against she's Canadian, but against a black belt in jiu-jitsu under Dean Thomas. It's just a different level of competition. But that being said, I do feel like Taila's got more paths to victory. But it's just tough to be confident in her, man, based off these 2 fights. That the Barella fight, there's no excuse for, and the Molly fight, finally she showed up, but Gillian's got a better ground game than Molly. I'm a roll with Taila because I think she's got more paths, but Gillian's ground game has to be respected, man. I mean, when it's all said and done, she's going to have the most submissions in that weight class's history, so I would not be surprised if she got another one here. But just because I think the difference on the feet is so large, I'll go with Taila.
Yeah, man. It's one of those things where it could either go perfectly right or horribly wrong. It's like I think Gillian Robertson's a tough opponent just because not so many people are going to be prepared for for that onslaught of passing and submissions and all that shit that she has 100%. But at the same time, I mean, Courtney Casey can't stuff. I mean, she not been able to stuff a takedown in hindsight. You know what I'm saying? And her last fight against Botello, I mean, we've seen Botello get wiped out on the mat. You know, against Calvillo. Or I was in Atlanta when Botello fought. I mean, I could hear her huffing and puffing from where I was sitting at, man. So, and that's just the honest truth. I mean, Lauren Mueller was shoving this girl to the mat. So, you know, Gillian is definitely trending upwards and is a tough opponent 100%. But I just have a feeling that if Taila Santos shows up to the best of her abilities, mentally, you know, tuned in, that there's a chance not only that she beats Gillian, but makes Gillian quit. I mean, I know she hasn't quit in a while, but I can't forget that Macy Barber fight. Like, I still think she quit in that fight. I know Eddie Alvarez said it on the Ultimate Fighter back in the day, and you know, she's gotten past some of it 100%. And look, yeah, Gillian's probably saying, I already whooped Molly's ass. I mean, fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that's what, you know, they're probably thinking, and that's true 100%. It's just, I feel like Santos's size, and I feel like her Muay Thai technique is a lot more sharper than Botello's. Like, Botello gets those kicks caught a lot. You know, she doesn't, you know, pull them back in time, as where like Santos is, you know, very sharp with the teeps. It's definitely a tough call because Gillian's tough if she gets on top. But I feel like these shots that she's gonna take are gonna kind of be like similar to when she fought Mayra Bueno Silva. You know, like when she gets hit by Santos, it's gonna be like, oh my god, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna be a different feeling, man. But shit. But yeah, I feel like I'm gonna go with Taila Santos, man. I just think she's more physical, and I feel like she has more talent than Gillian Robertson, man. And I feel like she'll land the more, you know, impactful shots.
And next up in the bantamweight division, we got a matchup between Magic Marlon Moraes, he's 23-7, and Rob Font, or as they like to say in Brazil, Shaq, Hobby Fonch is 17-4. Currently, they got Marlon Moraes -150. The comeback on Rob Font is +130. So, man, this is a tough one to call because, like, Magic Marlon. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, man, this is the fight. This would be my fight to watch because I ain't never been more down on Magic Marlon Moraes more than I am now. I mean, turns out Henry Cejudo was right. Marlon's got no heart, Dan. I mean, the fact of the matter is the dude gives up when I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie, Sanhagen did look spectacular in that fight, and this is an interesting fight because I'm down on Marlon Moraes, and I have a feeling that once again, if this fight goes out the first round, that maybe Robbie Font will start to take over. But then when I really sit down and get to the Rob Font, and Dan, you know this about, well, I don't know, but you know I've always kind of thought Rob Font is a little overrated, and that was dating back to, you know, back when he was fighting John Lineker and shit, and like where he was flopping to his back after some body shots, and all these dudes were hyping him up to be this big thing, and I was like, okay, but then, you know, he got a redemption, fought Pedro Munoz. They say he's the best boxer in the division, apparently, and he's out here getting dropped and wobbled by, you know, one of the sloppier, you know, strikers in that division in Pedro Munoz. No offense. I mean, when I say sloppy, I'm not disrespecting. You know what I'm saying? Like, Pedro's not, for a top 15 guy. He gets hit a lot. You know what I'm saying? Fucking, and then, you know, then he gets matched up against Rafael Assunção, old 35-6-year-old Brazilian. Everyone and their mom bets Rob Font because they say he's going to touch him up. And turns out Rob Font's the one getting touched up, man. So I always feel like Rob Font's been somewhat of an underperformer. He definitely has the size, talent, trains with Calvin, all that good stuff. And I fuck with my boy Chartier. And it's neither now or never for Rob Font because he's choked in every single one of his big fights. I mean, miserably choked in every single one of his big fights. And he's coming off of ACL surgery. And then, you know, when we talk about his Ricky Simon fight, Ricky Simon can't even spell box, you know, yet alone do it. I mean, the dude's actually got knocked out by Uriah Faber, and Rob Font got rocked by that guy. towards the end of the first round, and but Ricky, he was able to get the points back from the takedowns because Ricky's a punching bag. And I mean, people were saying Ray Borg had good hands when he fought Ricky Simon, Dan. I mean, and that's just the honest truth.
That really happened.
And that's just the honest truth, bro. So like, I would love to come in here and be like, oh, this is prime spot for Rob Font, and it might be, but I just don't have enough facts to support that yet. So I am gonna pick Magic Marlon Moraes, but I would not. Marlon Moraes is untouchable betting wise for me, man. I mean, I know Sanhagen's a lot more dynamic, more weapons than Rob Font, but Henry, I think Cejudo was right, man. It's just something like, even in that Dotson fight back, that's why I bet Cejudo against him, was like, there is a drop off, and we're gonna get to another guy fighting here soon, Aldo. In that Aldo fight, I mean, Marlon was making faces and just not looking right, man. It's just a face of worrisome, and I don't like it, man. But I think he still deserves to be the favorite, and I don't feel like Rob Font has done enough yet for me to pick him. But I definitely understand someone taking the shot. I mean, you're hoping that, come on, Robbie, let's make him quit for them late rounds, you know?
Yeah, it's a tough one to call for sure. I just feel like Henry Cejudo might have taken Marlon Moraes' soul, man. He hasn't looked the same since, you know, the Aldo fight. You know, it's Aldo's debut at 135. You're supposed to head kick him in the first round, and then it's like everyone thought you lost that fight. I didn't, but everyone else thought you lost that fight. And then the Corey fight is not a big deal that he lost to Corey. The big deal is that, like, okay, I thought that Corey was at least going to have to go through some shit in that first round. Like, and then like Corey just ran through him like it was nothing. And then you're making a quick turnaround against a guy who, even though you're right, he has choked in all those big fights against Brazilians. Granted, he did beat Tomas Almeida and Andrade, so it's not like he always loses to Brazilians.
Thomas Almeida has got one of the most padded records in the history of the company, and same with D Silva. I mean, straight up.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's not an 100% hit rate when he fights Brazilians that he's going to lose. He's beaten a few before. Because I was going to say, well, he lost to Lineker, Pedro, and what's the other one? And Assunção. So it's like, yeah, he always loses to Brazilians, but that's not true. He always loses to elite Brazilians usually. But that being said, I just got a question where Marlon's at mentally. And the last two performances by Font, he put on a career high output numbers, you know, those last two fights. If he can build off that momentum and if he's not hindered by the torn ACL, I'll go with Rob Font to get an upset, but it's not the most confident pick because he does choke in big fights, but I'll go with Rob Font. Featured bout in the welterweight division, we got Michel Pereira, who's 24-11, taking on Khaos Williams, who's 11-1. Currently, they got Michel Pereira -125. The comeback on Khaos Williams is +105. So I kind of just went back and watched Khaos's regional fights instead of his UFC fights, because UFC fights they told me a lot that he hits hard, but like I want to know what happens past the 30-second mark. And this guy has got good wrestling too. He can get on top of these guys, grind out decisions. And Pereira might have more strikes in his arsenal. He's a big boy, but man, the guy's a loose cannon. The guy's a head case. The guy's a wild card. He's hard to trust. Like, he should not be going to the third round with guys like Diego Sanchez and Tristan Connolly. He should be blowing through these guys in the first round. So I feel like he might do some good stuff here against Khaos, but then, you know, after he does a couple good strikes, then he's going to do a backflip, then he's going to do a fucking stupid dance. I got to go with Khaos here. It might not be a 30-second knockout this time, but when Pereira does a backflip, that's when Khaos can get on top, grind this one out. I'll go with Khaos via unanimous decision here.
Yeah, man, I disagree with that take because I feel like, you know, guys, Diego Sanchez goes to the third round a lot. I mean, he went the third round his last fight. He went the third round with Chiesa. He went the third round with a lot of guys, man. I mean, and turns out the Ultimate Fighter wasn't there to fight that night. I mean, he was running away from Michel Pereira the entire time. I mean, it's not Michel signed up to fight the Ultimate Fighter, you know. So, you know, things didn't go his way. He got screwed out of that one, but we know what the case was. I mean, Diego's a delusional man, and he ran away the entire time, and the Ultimate Fighter didn't want to fight. So, you know, yeah, I feel like Khaos hasn't been getting enough credit because, I mean, his last fight, man, I had a feeling that was going to happen. But at the same time, like I have been on the record to say that Zelim Madaev, Michel Pereira's last opponent, is a complete can. I mean, he is a complete can. I mean, that's just the the truth about it. So I can't put, so much stock into that win, but he definitely looked the best he ever had. And I know him and Johnny Walker started that team in Vegas. And I mean, Michel's been I've been seeing Michel in that pool. He's been swimming his laps. I mean, Michel's taking that cardio training to a different level. I hear he's lighter, man. I hear he's taken seriously. Dude's definitely, has some antics and some shenanigans of that notch, and is definitely playing with fire with Khaos. But Khaos Williams, man, I do have a suspicion that his game, outside this, 30 seconds might not be as good, as we think it is. But at the same time, that power, man, it's undeniable. But at the same time, like I said with Pereira, Razak Al-Hassan's not the same guy that, he left, that came back. I mean, it's 2 years off. He missed weight both times. I mean, he's probably on his way out of here soon as well. And then Alex Morono, definitely, I mean, that's a statement. Knocking out Morono like that is definitely impressive. But I see it a 50-50 fight. I'll go the other way. I'll take Pereira. I remember John Jones said something back in the day, when some, because Michel Pereira does, all this weird, quote unquote weird stuff, flashy stuff, and I could be completely wrong, but you remember when he was fighting Ryan Bader, he was like, when someone keeps, bringing up my flashy stuff over and over again, that means that's what they're most afraid of. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna go with Pereira. I've heard Khaos refer to his flashy stuff multiple times. So, we'll see. But man, I love that team with Khaos and Jamal Hill and Buckley and all of them in Detroit, man. All those dudes from Detroit can fight. So it could go either way.
Yeah, funny thing about Michel's last fight against Zaleem Imadaev, he did look amazing in that fight, but if Zaleem's name was Zaleem Johnson instead of Imadaev, no one would give a shit. But it is what it is. He's got a lot of
people, it was a pick 'em. I was saying that before the fight. But they were saying Michel, bro, Diego Sanchez, I think he's a complete joke, but he is tough,
He won the first Ultimate Fighter. Co-main event of the evening, we got Jose Aldo Jr., the former featherweight champion in the UFC and the WEC's 28-7, and Marlon Chito Vera's 18-6. Currently, they got Jose Aldo minus 150, the comeback on Marlon Vera's plus 130. Shaq, if I would have told you a couple of years ago that Jose and Marlon would be close to, an even fight, you would have laughed in my face, just like you would have laughed in my face if I would have said that Paul Craig would not only be favored over Shogun, but would beat Shogun, or maybe even a couple of years back, Jamal Hill and OSP, or Charles do Bronx and Ferguson. But as you know, this is almost 2021. The sport's evolving. Is Marlon Vera catching Jose Aldo at the right time?
I mean, look, this is Jose Aldo is one of these guys where I'm down on him, man. And I've been down on him from the start of this 135-pound thing. Guys, and this is another thing. I remember sometimes you got to, hear what you're actually saying. You remember when Philip Haas fought Robert Whitaker's teammate? And they were like, he got up from a takedown, or he landed a punch. This is what people are saying about Jose Aldo's career at 135 pounds. Jose Aldo looks good. Jose Aldo looks good at 135 pounds. When has Jose Aldo ever looked bad? Like, what the fuck are, like, when has Jose Aldo ever looked bad in a fight? And like, he's never looked bad in a fight as far as I'm concerned. Like he comes to fight every single time. It's either, it's just this age is catching up to him. The amount of damage is catching up to him. And after that last one with my boy No Mercy, the champ, people were saying No Mercy wasn't this and that. And I mean, I couldn't believe it, man. But, I feel like Jose, if he's, looking so good at 135 and he couldn't even break the gassing, slow down, quitting Marlon Moraes. I mean, Marlon Moraes was making faces in that fight, bro. Like, Marlon Moraes was literally, you remember when Mark Henry was telling Marlon in the corner in the Henry fight, he was like, Marlon, your mom worked 2 jobs, so you can, you know what I'm saying? Like, one of those talks, where they get desperate because they know their dude's done. But like, Jose couldn't even capitalize on that, bro. And it's alarming to me because I'm like, if he's so this, top guy 135, how come he couldn't do it? And then you follow that up with a fight. What's the ref's name from England?
Goddard.
No, not him. The other one from England.
Leon Roberts.
Leon Roberts. Fucking that dude fucked up so bad in that Peter Yan fight, bro. Live, I was screaming at the TV, stop the fight. Like it was worse than Holloway, in my opinion. Like he took so many unanswered shots that I'm worried about him moving forward. And I know he's better than Vera on paper and on if you watch film and all that good stuff, man. Of course, it'll be like, yeah, Vera's not beating this guy. How? But it's one of those things where like things are going such against them and so in favor of Vera. It's like I gotta be on Vera in this one, man. It's like he's, it's like a redo of the Song Yadong fight, in my opinion. A big right-handed heavy hitter, that fades in the late rounds. And I feel like Marlon Vera could have won that fight against Song had he got started maybe a minute sooner. And that's the big deal with Marlon, because a lot of these wins are going to have to be, coming from around behind. He loses the first round in a lot of his fights, except the last one. But, I feel like people aren't giving him enough credit saying, oh, well, Sean got hurt. I mean, look, Sean, he got hurt due to fighting Marlon Vera. He kicks super hard, man. I mean, that's what I took from it. So, I'm on Marlon Vera in this fight, man. I just feel like he's got so much momentum going for him, and Jose has so much momentum going against him. I just don't know how much Marlon Vera would be one of the last people I'd want to fight coming off a fight like that, what I just came off with Peter Yan, because I really don't have much to gain from it. And, this kid, Marlon, ain't going to stop, man. Like, you're going to have to kill this kid on Saturday night. But, hey, I get it. You're seeing minus 130, 140 on Aldo versus Vera. I mean, I'm sure some people are like, are you kidding me? Like, I get it. But, I've heard that take so many times when he fought Volkanovski and all these other guys, man. Not saying Marlon Vera is a Volkanovski or a Peter Yan, because he's not. But, I just feel like after that last one, I really feel like that's going to be the one to put the nail in the coffin on Jose, or at least I think he needs to go back up to 45s as well. I think he's cutting too much weight at 35s, and I don't think he's like the Peter Yan fight. Everyone's saying he looks so good, but like, bro, yeah, he won. What was it? The third round, I believe he won.
Second round,
and where he was taking it to Peter a little bit. But guys, it's 5 rounds in a fight. I truthfully believe not that Peter was letting him do that, but like, bro, you've seen Peter can take it, bro. Like, Peter was doing that all just for the slow cook, man, all for that 4th, 5th round where he knew he was going to get him out of there and he was going to be completely gassed. So, look, yeah, Vera's an easier opponent, but Vera's intense, man. His mindset's just different. I just got a vibe about this guy. I just feel like his mindset's different, man. So I'm going to go with him for the win. I'll say by 3rd round stoppage.
Look, timing is everything in this sport. It's all about catching someone at the right time. If they would have fought a year ago, you got to go Aldo. 2 years ago, you got to go Aldo. But how many times can Aldo keep bouncing back from these brutal beatings? Eventually, they're going to catch up to you, man. And as far as him winning the 2nd round against Yan, we know Yan likes to coast until he needs to do something. Look at that Jimmy Rivera fight. He didn't do anything until the last minutes of every round, goes out there, drops him, wins the decision. Peter Yan knows exactly how to fight. Peter Yan knows what he was doing. Peter Yan was never in danger at any point in that fight.
Bro, Peter Yan was literally like just doing this, like peeking out of his eyes, like, yep, like when you play the video game and the other dude's like burning his cardio out, and you're just like, keep going, and then you come back on him.
Exactly. So listen, Vera has paid his dues in the UFC. He's had over 10 fights, and he's getting better every single fight. And when he goes up against heavy hitters, historically speaking, none of them have put him down. Lineker didn't put him down. Song Yadong didn't put him down. Sean O'Malley didn't put him down. Even Andre Ewell. One thing about Ewell, we might not, be high on his jiu-jitsu, but dude's definitely got hands. He didn't put him down either. So I feel like Chito Vera's been getting better, and he's catching Aldo at the perfect time. I'm sick of seeing the legend, in a pool of his own blood, having to get picked up off the canvas. Like, I've had enough of that shit. Like, I'm a huge Jose Aldo fan. He's a guy we all grew up watching. He's a guy we all love, but enough is enough. He doesn't belong in this 135-pound weight class. I'm sick of seeing these brutal beatings, unless I got money on the other side. But I got to go with Vera here. Right place, right time. And this is the spot going into 2021 where Vera can beat a guy like Aldo, which I never thought I'd ever hear myself say, but this is the spot. So I'm going to go with Vera. Main event of the evening in the welterweight division, we got Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. He's 15-4-1, and Geoff Hands of Steel Neal is 13-2. Currently, they got Geoff Neal minus 120. The comeback on Stephen Wonderboy is plus 100. So I picked Vicente Luque to beat Stephen, and I was wrong. But going into that fight, I knew that there was a risk that, hey, like Vicente gets hit too much and he kind of slows down. So I knew that going into the fight already. And he had a good first round. Then he slowed down. I mean, this is a guy that was coming off a fight of the year with Brian Barberena. So what that means is that they both ate over 100 significant strikes. But going into this fight, I'm not saying those same things about Geoff Neal. I don't feel like there's a risk of him slowing down or getting hit too much, because he doesn't slow down or get hit too much. Listen, man, we're seeing these guys like Tyron Woodley or Pettis or even Darren Till have success being able to put down Wonderboy. Wonderboy's getting up there. He's almost 38. I like him, but he fights with his hands down. You don't want to fight Geoff Neal with your hands down, man. I think he's too fast. I think he's too youthful. I think he comes out here, closes the distance. I honestly think he knocks him out in the first round, man. Not disrespecting Wonderboy. I mean, there's a guy that knocked out Whitaker. There's a guy with all his credentials. He's a fantastic fighter. He's a great gatekeeper for this division at his current point. I mean, definitely ain't touching no gold, so he is a gatekeeper. He's not a contender. I got to go with Geoff Neal here, man. I think he gets this one done. And as long as he's fine from that shit that went down like 4 months ago, which we don't know. I mean, hopefully, as long as he's not a completely different man, I think he comes in here and wins.
Yeah, man. I've been high on Geoff Neal from the second that Contender Series, man. Even when he was fighting Chris Camozzi, all them dudes, man. Not Chris Camozzi, but Chris Camozzi's brother, Brian Camozzi, his debut. Yeah, man, Geoff Neal's the speed, man. And Morono kind of described it best. He said, from the outside looking in, it might not seem like anything special, but it's like one of those things where you don't realize it until you're actually in there. It's like, holy shit, he actually is really fast. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like his punches are super accurate. And like you said, I feel like Wonderboy is getting too much credit for that fight with Luque, man. I know Vicente throws with some of the most violent intentions in that division. I mean, some of the most vicious knockouts, submissions, all that good stuff. But I mean, one knock on him has always been his cardio, and he is, somewhat a little bit chinny. I mean, like you said, the Brian Barberena fight, he slowed down. And I know you remember that Mike Gray's fight back in the day as well, or the Leon Edwards fight, in England as well, where he gassed out. So I really wasn't. I was actually I was thinking Vicente going into that, but then when I watched the Barb fight, I was like, oh, Wonderboy probably is gonna win. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I feel like Wonderboy still got rocked in that fight, fought with his hands down, but I just don't think Vicente had the footwork, to chase him, to cut off the ring or the cardio. And I feel like Geoff Neal's got the footwork, and he just makes better, sharper reads than Vicente, in my opinion. Yeah, the only concern is this health shit that he's been having. I don't know the severity of it. I mean, it doesn't sound good for sure, but who knows, man? Who knows? But I just know that I'm not as I know Jeff's the slight favorite, but it seems like more people are on Wonderboy just from what I'm seeing. But it's like this dude literally lost a decision to Till, and I know some people are like, oh, he didn't lose that fight, but I mean, he got dropped.
Only one guy got dropped.
I mean, and yeah, he looked good in that fight, but just he held. But what about the time he got knocked out unconscious against Anthony Showtime Pettis as a minus 400 something favorite? I mean, you know what I'm saying, man? I just feel like the dude ain't trending as upwards as people think, man, just off that one win. I got Geoff Neal as well, man. One thing you can say about Geoff Neal, yeah, he hasn't really, Bilal's like the best guy he's fought probably, and Bilal's he's like what, 15? He's got to be ranked, right? 15, 13. Yeah, he's got to be ranked. So fucking, that's that. I get that's his best win, but I mean, he fucking whipped Bilal's ass for 15 minutes, man, and that's got to be respected on some level. And I know, well, Steven would whip Bilal's ass, and look, yeah, you're probably right, but now that you got Steven and Geoff Neal in there, man, I really feel like Jeff's got that footwork to track him down and touch his chin. And like you said, you don't want to fight Geoff Neal with your hands down. You know what I'm saying? That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I feel you. So Normally we do the fight to watch and fighter to watch, but I'm running out of studio time. So we want to thank all our fans so much for sticking with us. And maybe we'll do this live thing more often. This was a lot of fun. This is a great card. So I hope everybody enjoys it. Make sure y'all follow Shaq at MMA Genius 05. Follow me at Best Fight Picks. Hit up our sponsor, Manscaped at manscaped.com. Use that promo code BATTLE20 for 20% off and free shipping. We'll be back before the year is over to recap the year and, talk about our favorite knockout, our fighter of the year, submission of the year, all that stuff, fight of the year, just like we do every single year. So we'll be back before the year is over, and we'll also do like a long fan Q&A. So we'll sit down, answer all your questions, and do that whole thing. So thank you guys so much for your support. Make sure you'll subscribe to Half the Battle on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher, Spotify, all the places where we are available. We truly appreciate your support. If you want to get our plays, go to bestfightpicks.com. Also, you can check me out on Line Movement, do some other like written content and video work over there. So check them out too. Thank you guys so much for the support. We'll be back next time. And until the next time, let's cash these bets.